Martin Popoff from the Contrarians here, back again with another edition of Reliving Old Reviews as a Useless Tool of Confusion. This is the show where we look at old reviews and see if the writer got it right, within the context of the times. This is when these albums are new rather than, when they've been discussed to death sort of thing. I'm going to do actually one that is a total rarity. A lot of people don't know this record. It's going to be a short one, so this will be a short episode, so it won't be keeping you long here. But yeah, so we look at a review and review the review and see what they thought of the situation. So we are looking at a review. I've got my page here. This is a review from Record Mirror, March 18th, 1978, of The Saints Eternally Yours. You've probably heard me rave about this album. It's one of my favorite punk albums of all time. It's the second album by The Saints. After this, they got, the first one's kind of a little more legendary. I'm Stranded, in parentheses, and then Stranded. They came from Australia. They moved or set up shop kind of thing. I don't know how long it is, but I'm going to find out because I'm talking to Ed Cooper. I don't even know how to pronounce it. Anyways, Ed, for the first time next week as I speak this. And they're going on a tour. They're going on a Saints tour, and I'm going to see them later on in the year, hopefully. And sadly, though, they lost their lead singer, Chris Bailey. I did meet him and saw those guys when they came to the Horseshoe in Toronto years and years ago. But yeah, so there's the Chris part, and now Ed and Ivor Hay are putting together the band again. I think Mark Arm is going to be singing for them. But I am going to talk to Ed, and yeah, that's one thing I'm going to ask him. It's like, what is the time frame exactly of you guys setting up shop in the UK? It's a little bit kind of like the AC/DC situation, right? Coincidentally, another Australian band. So we are going to look at a review. Like I say, it's not a long one, of The Saints Eternally Yours. I love this album to death. Let's see what they say. It came out on Harvest. Really cool, really heroic, punky looking album cover on it. This is by Rosalind Russell, and let's see what she has to say. I've waited so long for the new Saints album. It's difficult to know where to start with the compliments. First, it's great that they managed to follow I'm Stranded, their first album, with which was recorded in haste but with spontaneous charm in Australia. The Saints haven't run out of steam like so many other relatively new bands. Not only that, but they've been bold enough to leave the safety of their original format to try out new ideas. That's absolutely correct. The cool thing about this album is it feels more ambitious. It's better recorded. It's less just guitar, bass, and drums. There's some cool arrangements, and there's even some kind of riffs on it. There's some good, thoughtful riffs. Know Your Product's amazing. This Perfect Day, one of the great punk songs of all time. Okay. And she goes on, if you've been to any of their shows within the past couple of months, you'll recognize a fair number of the tracks, like Untitled, which has been part of the set for some time. There are also two of the singles, Know Your Product, a track which deserves better treatment than it's getting from the airplay authorities, and This Perfect Day, which has been re-recorded and has a fuller sound than the original. The addition of brass and a harmonica makes an incredible difference to them and lifts them clear of any accusations of sounding like the Ramones. And yeah, that's very limitedly used. I mean, this is a good heavy punk album. It's great, and it sounds, you got the bedheaded Chris Bailey vocals on it as well. I was worried before I heard the album that I might not like anything as much as the tracks on their first one, but I find that Lost and Found, or Australia, and I Misunderstood come just as close to the heart. Well, perhaps that's too intimate. That's too an intimate description of music that blows your head off at the right volume. Put it this way: they reach parts other music doesn't. I reserve a special mention for their very silly International Robots because it maintains my faith in them, in that they'll never take themselves too seriously. And then I see 5+ signs, so this must be 5 out of 5. And it actually is the lead review. It's bolded. There's a picture of the band, and it says, The Saints, life isn't always a drag for Chris Bailey and Ivor Hay, but Alistair Ward wasn't taking any chances. That's the other amazing thing about this, right? So you've got Alistair Ward in the band, who's going to be in The Damned for Music for Pleasure, and then he's going to be in Tank, right? He's going to be leading Tank, an amazing new wave of British heavy metal band, come 2 albums in 1982 and moving forward, right? So this is early 78. Then Music for Pleasure. The Damned actually kind of break up and reform, and he's in there, and they have literally physical fights. Those guys, Algy Ward is a bit of a piece of work, and sadly we lost him recently as well. So yeah, actually from I'm Stranded, we've lost Algy Ward and Chris Bailey, right? So there you go. Let us know what you think. I love this album. Go check out this record. I think Rosalind basically got it right. This is a good positive review. Like, subscribe, all that cool stuff. You can join our Patreon situation. That gets you onto the panels we do and all that. But yeah, I've been enjoying doing this series because it's just cool to see, what actually happened in real time, boots on the ground with these reviews. So there you go. The Saints, Eternally Yours.